All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So, what I want to get into today, I'm going to call a lot of negativity in your life could be avoided. And I've been doing a lot of different things on my podcast, but the last few, I've been kind of just going back to things that I just want to kind of help people regarding certain things. And when it comes to negativity, there, for the most part, we're surrounded by it. I don't care who the hell you are. You know, it could be at work, it could be amongst your friends, family members, and a lot of people. It's easy a lot of times for people to say, get negative people out of your life. That's ridiculous because, as you know, we're not getting rid of our siblings. We're not getting rid of our parents. We're not getting rid of our grandparents. We're not getting rid of if you're married or dating somebody, their family members. And at your workplace, you think you're going to get rid of everyone at work. And I know, it's kind of, I think one of the things, if you ever watched The Secret, they're like, if you get, negative thoughts out and get rid of negative people, your life will change, which I do believe. There's no getting around that. And I'm not saying for you to go out and hang out with negative. If you're around a lot of negativity, of course there's going to be negativity, but you can't avoid it. I mean, it's impossible. Even places you go to, there's a lot of negativity. You just have to realize that you don't always have to be a part of it. And I think that's where people get a little frustrated, because what happens is they get around negativity, and before you know it, it's almost like, I'm not going to say it's a disease, but then they become negative as well. You have to train yourself when you're around people that are negative, and people that you still love, that it's kind of got to go in one ear out the other. And you also don't always have to fight up against it. I think, I have a lot of people that are, negative around me, and a lot of it's, because it could be because of the way they feel. It could be the financial situation they're in. It could be because of what others have done to them. It could be what other family members are going through. All these different types of things. Sometimes you just got to be an ear and someone to listen to them. And that doesn't mean always saying, well, like preaching to them and saying, well, you got to change your life. You got to get rid of this. You better not do this. You do this. I get we want to help people, but I think that comes in kind of short waves a lot of times. And kind of leading by example and not always telling everybody what their negativity is, because for the most part, a lot of these people, like I said, especially family members, close friends, and colleagues, they're not going anywhere. All right? That's just the reality. But I realized this more than ever with my girlfriend, Rhea, that I think she's been through a lot in her life and her previous marriage. And the one thing I realized with her that she mastered is not, for the most part, getting caught up in the negativity, especially when dating or in a relationship. Really, and I was somebody who wouldn't accept any negative texts or emails. I was just burnt out on that shit in my mid-40s. But when it came to her, and she's no drama, and what's funny is she loves drama. I think, she loves movies, television, fashion, all these things. But when it comes to her and me personally, she doesn't bring any of that. And she also, she never says, which God bless her, but she never has a bad thing to say about me, which I already know maybe she makes fun of me because I'm always pointing out my own flaws and things. But she never degrades me, never makes fun of me, never really screams at me. And in my previous divorce, I'm going to say I had really a wonderful ex-wife. I had a really good marriage, even though it ended. I know it sounds weird, but we never ever had the intent to hurt each other. We never called each other names. We weren't screamers, any of that type of shit. So, but back to my girlfriend Rhea that I live with, she really taught me how to, also, and I still go through this, a lot of times I become negative, and then you kind of throw it on someone else. Your behavior then, if you're being an asshole that day, you kind of lash out at them, but they don't respond to that personally. I was good at doing that through text, like I said, emails, and maybe even phone calls. If I have an issue or someone has an issue with me, I go face to face with them. But a lot of times I would be the problem. I would be the one that it would start wearing me down, some of the negativities, or I wanted to address them and I would blow things out of proportion, make things a lot, in my mind, they were just a lot worse than what they truly were. And I remember a friend of ours, both me and my girlfriend, was a very beautiful woman, and she said, just to me privately, she's like, "Oh my God, I'm taking notes from Rhea how to deal with you." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "She has it down. She knows how to deal with men, and she knows what to bring and not to bring." And I think what she was really saying is she saw the way, not only with me, but with Rhea, with my family, and with other things. And I'm not saying Rhea's perfect by any means. She has her own things that she goes through. But when it came to dealing in a relationship with me, and for the most part, my kids and a lot of other people, she knows how to really handle herself. Where I think a lot of us, we really don't. Especially when we're dealing with people that are very negative, or when we become very negative, which we're all going to have good days and bad days. I talk about that all the time. But if you look at your life, a lot of the negativity that's probably going on can be, it could be addressed, or sometimes it could even be avoided. And, I used to be somebody who'd go out in bars, nightclubs, get in fights, you get arrested, or, you just have all these issues, and the way a lot of times the way I would talk to people or act, I'd be the one stirring it up. I always said, like, a lot of us take a match, and instead of blowing it out, we start, a forest fire. We blow things, it starts small, and we keep building on it and building on it. Before you know it, it's weighing on us. Why do we do that? I don't know why we do that, and why we always want to lash out at other people or just hurt each other. Not physically necessarily, but verbally, or just, all those type of things. And even sometimes I even catch myself, I travel so much. So just recently I was in New York, in Times Square. Let me grab some water here. And this is just something that I think other people may go through too. Not in the exact same way, but I come out of my hotel and a guy and a girl are screaming at each other, and then the guy pushes the other girl on the ground. I'm not going to go for that shit. But I'm also not going to sit here and start punching this guy in the face or pushing him around. I just stopped and I gave him I stood right there where he knew I'm not messing around. I'm just looking at him directly now in the eyes. And he's looking at me. He knew I wasn't going for that shit anymore. Even though I don't even know these people. I literally walked out of my hotel. When I tell you this happened in 30 seconds. But I'm not going to let a guy push a girl, like a woman, regardless what she did. I don't know what she did. She was a lot smaller than him. I just wasn't going for that shit. Like I said, I'm not going to go to blows with him over this because I don't even know them. But you're not going to do this shit in front of me. They're looking at each other. I'm kind of standing there staring him down. Then finally the two of them left. And this actually happened in the same day. Fast forward, I went to a place called Taco Place over there. I did a YouTube video on it. What's it? El Taco? Numero Uno? Delicious tacos if you ever get a chance. There's a few of them. I think it's, what is it? Numero Uno Taco. You could look it up on Google. So now I'm on the corner over there, and another couple, homeless, feel bad, screaming at each other. And I'm like, okay, whatever, their backs are to me, they're screaming, and then again, I think they're pushing each other. I'm like, what kind of day is today? I had to turn around and look at both of them. They kept screaming, then another group got in, and then everybody separated. All right. I was like, okay, thank God. And the reason I bring this up is regarding, that's some negativity I had to deal with. But the thing is, how did I act through the negativity? I didn't really say anything, so I didn't bring more attention to myself. I didn't threaten anybody. I didn't push anybody. How I reacted, I think, and I'm not sticking up for myself, I realized over the years, especially being in so many fights that I've been in, that there's a time and a place to really, you could do things just by looking, or your disposition by people saying, I'm not accepting what's going on here, I don't like it, but it doesn't mean that I have to involve myself in it. Now, if he would have hit her again on the floor, kicked her, then I would have had to separate them. I would be getting involved, even though the last thing I want to do is get involved with people, in a place that I don't even live or anything. But I'm definitely not going to stand for somebody hitting a woman or kicking her. That's not, if it was two dudes, I'll be honest, it's none of my business. If it was two women, I would try to separate them. I would just hate them too to get hurt. It's just a personal thing. I don't want to see women fight or get hurt. Men, if they're fighting, as long as they're not overly killing each other where someone's knocked unconscious and someone's beating them to death. But if they're just having a fight, I'm going to try to make sure, just kind of watch it where they don't hurt each other, stab or shoot each other maybe. But, and I was actually with my girlfriend Rhea in Hawaii, and there was an episode in an airport where a guy kicked another girl's bag and they were screaming at each other. A big dude. And his wife kicked another woman's bag. And he kicked her, and then the girl panicked a little, and I had to stop and just wait it out. And again, negativity in our life. These are just kind of similar, but I'm like, if he hits this girl, we're going to have a problem. And in the airport not long ago too, we were all standing in line. I was ready to go into the men's restroom to use a urinal, and a gentleman, a black guy, I think he got mad at me, and but he kept looking at his phone. There was a bunch of an open urinal, and I kept waiting, and he never went. So I walked around him, and I went. He grabbed me and spun me around. Now, he was a smaller guy, I'm not going to say. And he started going off, like, who are you to take it? And I said, sir, you were on your phone. I didn't even know if you were waiting to get on the sink or the urinal. Chill out. He goes to the urinal, I'm going to the urinal. He's still giving me dirty looks when we were washing our hands. And I'm not saying, I could have probably literally lifted him, and I would have probably, maybe unless he's a master martial artist, if I blasted him, it would probably be pretty harsh, and it would be rough on him to get a hold of me. And he was even giving me looks when I went outside the bathroom in an airport. So finally I had to just give him a look like, you know what I mean? But again, the negativity, I'm just using these, did I blow it out of proportion? In the old days, if we might have gotten a jam, because I've gotten a couple jams in bathrooms, I would have probably grabbed him by his throat, lifted him, and slammed his head right on the floor. Pulled his arm and just lifted him, because that was just my mindset back then. But now I'm actually the flip side. I want to help him. I feel bad that I hurt his feelings, but he's that angry at me. He shouldn't even care it was for a urinal. But again, that's me addressing the negativity and saying, maybe he's not negative, but I'm sure he's going through a lot of things in his life. And that's one thing also I want to get into on this podcast, is a lot of times we don't really understand what people are going through. It's not our responsibility to always know, and it's not our problem. But sometimes we do have to look at people regarding why they're so negative. We don't know what they went through in their past and how people treated them. So that's something that I had to learn over the years, to say, you know what, instead of going to war with a lot of people that are negative, I'm just going to listen to them and still try to help them. But believe me, it still gets on my nerves sometimes when you're around, especially close family members, friends that are really always negative, or have something negative to say to you or towards you, or make you feel a certain way. And it's been going on either year after year, decade after decade. And it comes down to patience. That's really what it comes down to, I think. And if regarding negativity again, and trying to, avoid it even publically on social media and all those platforms, but even personally, because I've talked about this even in my book, Wingman. And, one bad day, one bad minute can be like a game changer in your life. Something can go down that didn't need to go down. And I'll just use, for example, like road rage, for instance. You may just be driving, somebody cuts you off, you cut them off. Before you know it, you pull over, and it's a fight or a shootout or whatever. In a matter of seconds, things can change. You could be waiting for a train, hypothetically, and, something bad can happen. I don't care if you're walking across the street, you could get hit by a car. All these different types of things can happen to anybody. But a lot of times, if you're kind of aware of your surroundings, you can prevent a lot of negativity and things around you. You just can't fall into the trap of it, but you also have to do things where your behavior isn't igniting more negativity. It's actually kind of back to the wick with the, start the match. You're blowing the match out. You're not igniting the entire fire, making it a furnace. And in that mindset, it's hard to do, Because a lot of us, I think, when we see certain things go down, we automatically want to react in a harsh way. Not only even physically, it could be verbally, it could be whatever. And especially social media, hypothetically, you see something posted that you're totally against, you hate it, you want to lash out, you want to leave a comment, you want to, whatever the case, now you're looking at this person. It could be a family member, a friend, a colleague, or whatever. It ignites you. The negativity almost just comes over you. And either you want to, like I said, leave a comment, or you may want to get on the phone with them, or you may see them. But, and I do something I call the 24 to 48 turnaround. If you do have to deal with a lot of negativity, or you get hit with something that it's really upsetting to you. But I think a lot of times we don't know the facts. And I think we need time to respond. And if you're upset, especially I see this with the workplace a lot of times, is you may get an email that pisses you off, or somebody may do something to piss you off, and your immediate reaction is to respond and go berserk. It could be even a text. Your immediately respond is to say, "You negative bastard," whatever. Sometimes, now if you have to respond, you have to respond, but if you don't, give yourself 24, 48 hours. I promise you, a lot of times, you're going to get more information on whatever you were upset about. They may have blown it out of proportion, or maybe they didn't know enough, or maybe you know more than they know. But also by giving yourself 24, 48 hours to respond, I'm telling you, you're a different person, and people don't realize that, compared to the person that is just immediately reacting to something that someone just did to you. Now, this doesn't obviously mean, physically. It could even be verbally sometimes. Someone's screaming at you, they're having a bad day. Instead of me screaming back at them and saying things that sometimes I don't mean or that are hurtful, just taking it in for the moment. Now, I'm not telling you to be a pushover, but sometimes if you're in a relationship, or something, and somebody is having that type of day where they want to lash out, or maybe you did something that was really bad. Maybe you do. You just got to admit it. Take the hit, wait a little bit, gather your thoughts, then respond. But I know a lot of us don't do that, and we'll just go back to it'll start small. A lot of things, if you look at life, start small. And before you know it, they're huge. How did they get huge? We kept giving them, we just kept giving them more and more power that it really didn't deserve. So I just want to do a podcast on that. But you can avoid, I promise you, a lot of negativity in your life. And also, the truth is, if you're somebody that's kind of cool to be around, and you're not really that negative, or you don't fall for a lot of negativity bullshit, a lot of people aren't going to really be around you, because I'm not saying you make them feel bad, but they don't have anything to work off of. And if you're kind of in a good mood and they're always in a shitty mood, they know to be around you is actually like, oh my God, this guy's always I'd rather be around somebody who I could commiserate with than somebody, who's going to be fun, that, what I mean, that's just going to kind of go live their life the way they want to live and enjoy their life. So that's just something, and it takes a long time, I think, to realize that a lot of our behavior and our negativity, we're doing things too to people around us, and we may be embarrassing ourselves or making other people feel uncomfortable. We just don't realize that, I think, especially when we're younger. So really take a hard look at yourself and see how your behavior is, because I just did a podcast on, a lot of people are easy to judge how the way other people act and behave, and how they look at them and go, my God, I wouldn't act like this, or why do they behave like this? But then again, you behave the same way, or you're worse. You may not be worse, but you probably behave a lot of times like, it may not always be the right way to behave, especially if you have children. Don't underestimate how much information, or how much your children are, being affected by your behavior on every aspect. I don't care if you're going to McDonald's. I don't care if you're going to take them to school. I don't care if you're taking them to a theme park. How you behave, if you're always getting triggered and aggravated, or you're always pissed off, or you're always arguing with your wife, your girlfriend, whoever, your ex-wife, all those affect people. And a lot of that shit, it doesn't have to be that way. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of relationships or things out there where people treat you like shit and you just can't take it anymore. I get that. I'm not telling you to ever be a pushover. But a lot of times we're giving people way too much power than they really deserve when it comes to certain things. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, check out my YouTube channel. I'm doing a lot of fitness things on there lately, more than ever. A lot of different Italian restaurants, so you might want to check that out. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So if you get a chance, leave a comment, hit me up. I post this on LinkedIn, Twitter. Where else do I post this? It pops up on my Facebook account too. So, anyways, and it's everywhere else that I know of. All right, take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels.